7 years ago, I was a college student with severe depression and social anxiety. Growing up in the hood, being away from home, going to college was supposed to be my escape. It was supposed to be a life-changing experience. But I found myself in the same position that I was back home, balled up in my bed, crying due to severe social anxiety. You see, your mind and will become so used to your environment that even if you get away from it, it will find a way to create your old environment all over again. You can try to run from it, you can try to get away from it, but if you don't conquer that thing inside of you that doesn't feel like it even deserves to be there, you're going to end up in the same pattern over and over again. So let's talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, I was socially awkward. I know a lot of my college friends will watch this and think, you was, girl? I was. I hid it. Y'all didn't know. I was socially awkward and permanently paranoid. And I was so paranoid that I would hear people talking outside of my door. And I just knew they was talking about me. They could be saying anything. Girl, did you do the test last night? And my brain would flip that to, girl, Monica in her room and she ain't left out in 10 days. The brain do some crazy stuff when you're so severely depressed and anxious. Your mind will make up all sorts of crazy things just to keep you stuck. I couldn't leave my room. It was just bad, y'all. I was a good student. Don't get me wrong. I was an excellent student. I was very fortunate to be surrounded by black educators who was willing to give me that chance. Had I been at another school, I probably would have flunked out. Just being honest. But I didn't. I graduated. But still, it was very hard to go to class. Very hard to pull me out of bed to get to class. It wasn't because I was lazy. It wasn't because I didn't enjoy the class sometimes. But it was because I had anxiety. And I was scared. And I didn't want to go nowhere. I was stuck. I was literally stuck. The person who I wanted to be was inside of me, but I could not get her to come out because of the depression and the anxiety. Couldn't go to class unless I had got high or drunk, just so I can numb myself enough to walk to class. And that is not safe. That is not recommended at all. If you like me and you're skeptical of pills, of antidepressants, or you try antidepressants, I'm going to show you how you can self-heal yourself without that. But you still need to go talk to somebody. And I'm very serious, y'all. Don't just go get some help. There's nothing wrong with getting help. But if you keep watching to the end, I'm going to tell you how to overcome all of this. Don't worry about it, but you got to watch it all the way through. Ladies and gentlemen, I was a lost cause. But I stand before you today, regenerated. It took me 7 long years to realize that I was not my thoughts. It took me 7 long years to realize that my past does not have to determine my future. And it took me 7 long years to stop chasing happiness at the end of a blunt or at the end of a bottle. I am regenerated, and I'm going to tell you how you can do the same. So, there are 3 ways to regenerate your cells. Now, your body will do it naturally. Like I said, you have cells within your body that starts to reset, regenerate, reprogram every 7 years. But if you don't put some new things into your mind and into your body, it's just going to regenerate the same things you was doing the past 7 years over and over and over. So how can we truly start the changing process. You have to change your inside to reflect your outside. You can't try to change your outside to get a different feeling inside. I did that for a long time too. But here are 3 ways, only 3, that you can start the regeneration process and ultimately reinvent yourself. Rediscover yourself is the better word. Number 1, ladies and gentlemen, you have to meditate. But it's so boring. I know, it is. I'm gonna be real with you. It's boring in the start. But this will all play a bigger part into your journey. By meditating daily, at least 10 minutes, you are reprogramming your brain. Remember when I said your brain will keep you trapped in old environments? Yeah. Even if you moved away from that place, it will start to recreate the same situation over and over and over. That's how people get stuck in cycles. This is because you haven't changed the way you think. You haven't changed your mindset. So, for a long time, I thought that if I just left the situation alone, if I just run away from the situation, it will go away. And I could just move on. Boop. You blocked. I ain't never got to deal with you again. And so then you move away. And then you say, okay, I'm ready to start meeting new people. But then what happens? You run into the same type of friend group that you just ran away from. And it becomes a cycle. The friend group probably lasts 2 or 3 months. And then she do some scandalous stuff that make you want to have to get away from her. And then you're alone all over again. In order to change your mindset, you have to meditate daily. It's not boring. You have to change the way you think about meditation. If you think meditation is boring, you need to change your mindset around it. Instead of saying, oh, it's boring, tell yourself, no, it gives me time to self-reflect and think about my day. Once you change the way, that's the first step. Once you change your perspective of a lot of things that's been holding you down, change your perspective of your depression. You know, I stopped saying at one point, I suffer from depression and anxiety. I suffer from it. Don't say that. Say, I am learning new coping mechanisms to overcome my moments of depression and anxiety. It's a longer sentence. It takes more intention to say that full sentence to somebody than to just be like, I suffer from anxiety. You have to be intentional about your words, about your thoughts, about your actions. Change the way you feel about your anxiety. Oh, I have anxiety, and that's just how it is. Some people introduce themselves like that. They be like, I have anxiety, and that's just how it is. But it doesn't have to be. That's not how it has to be. Ladies and gentlemen, change is like a light switch. With just one flip, you can change your whole perspective. Don't be toggling it back and forth. Flip it one time and make the permanent change. And don't look back from that change. And you will see your life take off in ways that you had never even imagined that it could. So, step number 2, to completely reprogram your thoughts, regenerate your cells, and rediscover your personality. Number 2, you have to heal from childhood wounds. You see, you are a product of your environment. I grew up in a picture-perfect home, but it wasn't like it seemed. My mother was a nurse. My father was a member of the army, and he served his country. I had 2 siblings. I had a dog. I had a few cats. And I was the baby of the family. can already tell. What should have been the picture perfect family was ultimately poisoned by the disease of being black in America. Still dealing with post-traumatic slave disorder. Still dealing with drug and alcohol addiction, club hopping, family favoritisms, secrets, lies, emotional manipulation, and the list can go on and on and on. All of those things growing up made me who I was today. But I'm here to tell you, if you don't like that, you can change that. And you do not have to continue to be a product of your environment at all. Forgiving your childhood wounds isn't about forgetting them. There's a difference between, some people say, oh, forgive and forget. I don't forget. I don't believe you should forget. Because if you forget, you may forget how somebody treated you. You may forget how that made you feel. And you could fall for it again. Don't forget it. But you do need to forgive them. It's not for them. Forgiving is not for the other person. It's for you. Because some scars and some trauma is too painful to forget. You'll spend the rest of your life trying to force it out of your head, when instead you can just accept what happened. And sometimes those memories will come up and they'll make you sad about the situation. But if you've forgiven them, it'll make you sad for a little bit. Feel those emotions, but then you're able to let it go. Because you know you have forgiven that situation. God has forgiven them and you for that situation. And that's all that matters at that point. So, here is some tips. Here's what I did in order to start healing some of my childhood wounds. And like I said, these are things I still do to this very day. So, you get into a meditative state. You can lay down. I like to lay down because if you meditate real good, you'll go to sleep. And it's hard for me to go to sleep sometimes. So, you want to lay down on your back, or you can sit down on the floor, whatever is okay with you. You can sit down in a chair, and you want to close your eyes. And then I want you to imagine your childhood self, and imagine one of the most difficult or most painful memories that you went through. For me, I saw a lot of domestic violence and arguments growing up. So it's certain arguments that always stuck out to me. So I went into a meditative state and I replayed that moment in my head. And in that moment, I'm still in my head. But in this moment when you're meditating, this is when you can become a superhero and save your childhood self. So you can be dramatic with it. I'm with the drama. So in my meditative state, it's like right when the argument's about to get heated, let's say somebody about to throw a vase, and I say stop, and I make everything freeze in my head, and I walk towards my childhood self, and I see her. I was crying and I was scared, didn't know what was happening, just waiting for it to be over. And you go up to your childhood self and you give them a hug. Literally, that's it. You give them a hug. You can give them words of encouragement. But ultimately, you're just telling yourself, that child within you, that is still within you, that it was not your fault. You do not have to go through that, and to look at you now, because you're not going through it anymore. Don't beat yourself up if it's hard to do it at first. It takes time. It also takes time with trauma. Depending on the traumatic event you're trying to relive, it may be hard to do it at first. It may be something so terrible that you completely wiped it from your memory. I remember a perfect example. I was in college. It was my freshman year, and we had went to some type of domestic violence seminar. And we all was just sitting around. I was listening to other people's stories about their experience with domestic violence. I was just sitting there, and all of a sudden, something literally felt like it hit me in the middle of my chest. And all of a sudden, I started remembering so many memories I had blocked out of the domestic violence situations that I grew up around. And once the memories stopped rushing to me, I was almost out of breath. I was like, dang, I forgot that happened. Literally, I had forgotten that I even experienced something like that. I had completely blocked it from my mind. That I didn't even remember it until it was triggered by us talking about it. And that messed me up for a while because I had to get all the memories. I had to get the memories in order. They was out of order at that point. And I had to remember, did that really happen? When did that happen? How old was I? And it took a long time. So it's sometimes trauma you experience is too traumatic, and your brain will also, as much as I'm talking about the brain, let's just make one thing clear. The brain is doing all of this to protect you. It's keeping you in this comfortable state. It's reminding you, it's sending you through the same cycles because those are the cycles that you've accepted to be okay. So the brain don't differentiate between good and bad. It's just do. You have to literally tell your brain, no, we're not going to do that anymore. That was a bad thing. Don't say bad. That was not a healthy way to deal with that situation. That was not a healthy environment to be in. We're going to steer more towards healthier spaces and people. But it's your brain is doing all this to keep you safe. So just how it's doing that by keeping you in cycles, it will also keep you safe by temporarily letting you forget the bad things that happened to you. And some people live with denial for the rest of their life, and nope, that didn't happen. But as soon as you deal with it and admit to yourself, you know what, that did happen, you will start to feel a lot better. So don't beat yourself up over it too much. If it's hard to do it at first, just keep trying, keep coming back. In the beginning, I recommend doing 10 minutes in the morning of meditation, 10 minutes at night. 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night. And then the more you meditate, the more you'll get comfortable with it. Once you're comfortable, then you can start tackling those traumas and tackling those shadows. It's called shadow work at the end of the day. But you can't tackle shadows unprepared. So get your spirit prepared first. Get your emotional well-being prepared first. You don't want to go into battle unprepared. Ladies and gentlemen, I am on my third point already. Number 3 is to trust the process. Oh yes, don't get me wrong. When you're in the middle of a battle, and this is a spiritual battle, it's a spiritual warfare. And if you are not prepared, if you're not prayed up, if you don't even grasp the severity of the battle, you can be manipulated, not by people, but by spirits. The devil is a spirit, so you have to be prepared before you even go on this journey. You have to get, and in order to get prepared, you tell yourself, you know within yourself, first of all, that I'm tired of feeling like this. I know it's gonna be hard, but I'm ready to make that walk and take whatever hit, pain that comes with it, whatever people have to say about me, about the situation. I have to take it because I did it. It's time to be accountable about it. When you're in the middle of a battle, and this is a battle between your mind and your spirit. Your mind is physical. It will expire one day. That's up here. But your spirit within here, your soul, is infinite. And when you're in the middle of a battle, it can be hard to see a way out. But don't give up. Fight like hell. You fought through millions of sperm cells just to be here today. And for Black people, our ancestors were enslaved just to get us to here today. In order for you to stand here today, and we have the nerve to cry, I can't get the new iPhone, when our ancestors were literally being beaten and raped and sodomized just for us to 400 plus years later to complain about something like that. For 400 plus years later to kill each other for no reason. Because he wear red and he wear blue. Our ancestors did not die for any of this. And you have to remember, a lot of us didn't even make it. It's way more people that could have been here if their ancestors had survived that boat trip over here. A lot of people jumped in the sea. And I commend them from doing that. They chose death, an uncertain thing, over certainty. Whereas some slaves was probably like, well, I'm going to get a place to sleep. I'm going to get some food. My family would be safe. Some people said, nah, forget that. I'll never be a slave, and jumped off that boat. And I respect them for that. But the people who didn't, who came over here anyway and died and escaped and fought and tried their best to do right, we owe them. We owe them more than we've been given. Ladies and gentlemen, 7 years ago, and it's really 8 years ago because this speech is 1 year old, but you get me. 7 years ago, I was a lost cause. 4 years ago, I wanted to die. But let me tell you something. Like my good friend Les Brown says, you don't get an easy way out of life. There is no easy way out of life. You're not going to get out of it easy. So you might as well figure out what's going on now. You might as well try to change something now, or you're going to spend the rest of your life feeling like you want to die. I spent the first 25 years of my life wanting to be dead. Literally. Do I want to go the next 25 years feeling like that? Absolutely not. So I'm going to change. I'm going to keep changing. I'm going to keep evolving until I get to a state of mind where I am at peace. Now I know I am infinite, with so much more ahead of me, ready for the good and the bad. Now I get bills or late payment notice, and I just laugh. I put on Facebook the other day, it was a meme, and they said they was counting down. It was like, for the new year. They said 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, your rent due. And I said, y'all, don't let them folks stress you out. They give you 10 days to pay your rent before they start telling you to get out. You got 10 days. And my friend was like, what? You don't worry about what I do with my money. I don't let bills stress me out. Because number one, I know I'm always have the money to pay for it. It may not be when they want it, but it's gonna get paid. When I get bad bills or bad news, I smile at it now. I used to, if this was 7 years ago, I would be so depressed and stressed out about it, blocking my own blessings because I'm stressed. Somebody could have been trying to give me money. I'm like, I gotta figure out how to pay my bill. And they like, I was just trying to get you $200 to pay your bill and you ignore me. I've just come a long way from where I used to be. Now things are different because things have changed. Things don't stay the same. Change is constant. Change will always happen. You have to allow it to happen. You have to welcome change. Ladies and gentlemen, I was a lost cause. But now I believe God had his hand over my life the whole time I was going through that. And he steered me in the right direction in order to get me to where I am now. And that journey had its fill of storms, but I got over every single one of them with the power and strength from my ancestors before me, the descendants who will come after me, and the God above me. I overcame mountains as if they were molehills. And I just thank. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today, regenerated. Therefore, you can never give up. Because if I could make it out, anybody can make it out. I literally thought there was no hope for me. I thought the way I thought was always going to be that way. I thought the things I experienced will always be that way, and that there was no change in that. But it is. Change is constant. Change will always happen. You have to be open to change. You have to be open to a new experience. If you're not, your brain is going to put you to that same cycle and just show you the same movie over and over and over again. Break the cycle. Break the chain. It may seem dark, but if I can come out on the other side, anyone can. Literally. Push through and fight. Give the world hell. You fought your way through millions of sperm to be here. The start of your life was a fight. So you gonna be born and just stop fighting? No, you gotta keep going. You gotta keep fighting. This is how I stay motivated. This could be number 4, but this is just a side tip. I make life like a game. I challenge myself. I be like, how many days can I go without cussing? I'm at 0 because I just cussed in this video. I'm going to block it out though. How many days, how fast can I pay off this debt? Set goals. Set achievable goals. And once you start knocking a few of them off, you'll start gaining confidence. Even if it's just making your bed. You say, okay, I made my bed for a whole week straight. What else can I do for a week straight? And you just finding out more and more and more. The key thing to take away from all of this is to fight. Fight for love. Fight for your children. Fight for the ones that will come after you. Fight for the ones that died so you can be here. Break those generational curses by doing the 3 things I talked about in this video. You want to know why it's so important to fight? Because God fights for us every single day. He never gives on us. But at the slight drop of a hat, we give up on ourselves every day. It's time to change that. It's time to change that. If he doesn't give up on us, we shouldn't be giving up on ourselves. So we need to fight. never left my side through any of those battles I was going through. I was just too blind at the time and thought I wasn't even deserving of God's mercy. But when I stepped back and I started thinking, hold on, those situations I was in, I shouldn't have overcame them. Some people don't. Some people crumble in those situations, but I didn't. So think about any time where you was in a bad situation, even if it took a year to get out of that situation, you still survived it. You didn't die. You still here with breath in your body. You may not have gotten the outcome you wanted, but you still here. That means God was fighting for you. So you need to fight to keep going. You need to fight to change your perspective. Fight to change your limiting beliefs. You are a reflection of God's resilience with you. God is resilient towards us all the time. He doesn't give up on us. And we're a reflection of God. So you have that same resilience inside of you. So pull it out of you and watch all the things you can achieve. That is the end of my video. I want you all, I'm going to give you some homework. I want y'all to think back 7 years from now. Think about where you were. What type of did you have a car? Did you have a job? What type of job? How was your mental mind state? Was you happy? Think about how you was mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually 7 years ago. And then think about where you are now. Is there any difference? If there is no difference between 7-year-old you and the you now, that means you need to follow these 3 steps. If you do see a difference, that means you've been pushing through and you've been fighting for a change. And you just gotta keep going. You gotta help encourage those people who don't see a change now. Now it's time for you to give back all the things you learned over those 7 years. You can't keep it to yourself. You gotta let other people know too. You gotta help other people. I just want to thank you all so much. Wait, before we go, because I didn't do this at the beginning, we're going to pray. God, I just want to thank you again for this beautiful day that we've had. I want you to bless anybody whose eyes and ears can hear this message. And give them the strength. Give them the courage to start the change. You put it within our bodies to be able to undergo that change after 7 years. You did that for a divine reason. Sometimes you can't get through things after a year. You need a few years to process it. But we're thankful for the time. We're thankful for the opportunity and the chance to try again and to have a better day than we did, a better year, a better next few years, the next 7 years than we did in the past. And we thank you for the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, and we appreciate you. Watch over anybody whose eyes and ears fall on this video, and plant that seed of encouragement, plant that seed of resilience, and let them know that they can change. They do not have to be a product of their environment anymore. They do not have to suffer from their depression anymore. They do not have to suffer from their anxiety anymore. And there are times, amen. There are times, y'all, where I do get low. I do get depressed. There are times where I have anxiety and I get anxious. But And that's normal. That's okay. The point is, it doesn't consume my life like it did 7-8 years ago. It doesn't consume my life in a way where I can leave my apartment now to just go run groceries. I'm not afraid anymore. So it doesn't stop my life anymore. Doesn't mean you're not gonna deal with it. Doesn't mean by doing these 3 steps you'll never deal with anxiety or depression again. That doesn't mean that. In order for that to happen, you need to go see a therapist and get some help. Seek therapy. There's nothing wrong with therapy. But these are ways to help you start coping with your anxiety and your depression. Depending on the severity, you can overcome it. Even if you feel like you've overcome it, still go. But that is all I have today. If you liked it, guys, I'm going to need you to give it a thumbs up right there. And then I'm going to need you to subscribe right there. And I'm going to need you to hit that little bitty yellow bell so you can always know when my videos are dropping. I love y'all so much. Thank you so much for the support already. I feel like a beautiful little butterfly just coming up out my cocoon. I'm gonna drop another video because the thing is, I got like notepad full of talks like this. So I'm over here thinking, what can I talk about? I got a whole notepad full of it. So here we go. But that's it. I'ma go. See y'all later. Thank you again. Appreciate you. Love you. Don't give up on yourself. Holla!